So on the CDT, I got stalked by a homeless man. It was in Silver City. My friend Kristen and I were walking down the street and we see these two homeless guys and they kind of just like stop and stare at us. And then they do that thing where they just like split up. And it was like, oh no, just that pit in your stomach of like, no, this is not happening right now.
Welcome to Backpacker Radio, presented by The Trek, brought to you by Topo Athletic. I am your co-host, Zach Badger Davis. Sitting to my right is...
Hi, I'm Juliana Chauncey, a.k.a. Chaunce.
How was trail days?
So good. I mean, we're just starting, right?
Well,
we're back in real...
Yeah, we're back. We're done.
We're back. It was great.
It.
It was great. I loved it. This is one of my more favorite ones, just because...
Let's do Friday, the Friday roundup, and we'll do Saturday on the next episode.
Okay. I was just talking in general.
Yeah.
One of my favorite ones. I feel like there were a lot of... my book club was there. Like, girls from my book club. So that was fun, because we just, like, took the group chat to real life. Friday, we did the air guitar competition.
Yep. Very funny.
And the peanut butter eating contest.
Kind of gross.
Kind of gross. Someone asked if they could use their hands, and if you're listening, it was kind of gross. What?
Did someone ask? I don't remember.
He asked me. He was like, "Is it okay if I use my hand?"
Oh yeah, no would have been.
And
my answer.
we provided spoons for everyone, but I was like, I get sure.
For future, if we ever run that one back, no is the answer.
Yeah, I was just in shock that he asked, but ultimately, I don't think that led to him winning because he didn't win.
No, two people used their hands, and they both, I think, were the last place people.
Yeah.
Not throwing shade on anyone. We're very appreciative of everyone that participated, but it was significantly gross.
I think they would agree it was gross.
Yeah.
I mean, you get sticky peanut butter all over your hands when everyone else is using a spoon.
Yeah. And my fear, as soon as they dug their hands in, is like, what happens if you actually win? Are we going to like measure how much peanut butter's on your hands?
Lick it clean.
Yeah.
Well, I think they thought it was going to go super fast, and so like hand equals bigger spoon, but then when you're actually eating the peanut butter, it's not that fast because it's peanut butter.
Also, getting the bottom corners of it, that would have been tricky. Like you're going.
Yeah, very impractical.
Wrist.
No would be a good answer. I've got to get better at saying that.
Yeah.
But that went well. We came up with a really good idea for next year with peanut butter.
Is this a real idea?
I don't know. Should we test it and see what the audience thinks?
Well, I think this was inspired by the guys who scooped it out with their hand, and we thought it'd be fun to see who could smear an entire jar of peanut butter on their body the fastest.
Yeah, and like no pieces can fall off. If a piece drops, you glob it too big, you got to pick it up and smear it.
Yeah, this just seems cruel.
It seems sticky.
That just seems like a hazing ritual for our entertainment. I mean, not that these other things really aren't, but
it's all voluntary sign-ups.
Yeah.
We're workshopping next year already.
But in the peanut butter eating competition, we had two people finish in like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was neck and neck. Peebs, one of our bloggers, and I forgot the other fellow's name who ended up winning. It was 8 minutes for 2,500 calories of peanut butter, the 16-ounce jar. Very impressive work.
Yeah.
They couldn't drink any water. They couldn't have any bread or jelly or any sort of supplement. Just straight peanut butter with the spoon. And, try eating one just scoop of peanut butter and one, just like the mouthfeel of it, it's a speed bump. But two, you're not inspired to keep going unless you've got something to supplement it.
And I feel like you can't even throw it up.
No.
Like, it's not a pleasant experience on the way up either. It's like a giant rock. It's like constipation in reverse.
That's a one-way road for
You're
sure.
Gonna choke.
Yeah.
If you throw that up.
Yeah.
You keep it down.
So I think we had 8 participants for that one. It was fun to get to the process of knowing when the jar was done. The night before, we bought an extra jar of peanut butter and we emptied it out to what we deemed to be a satisfactory amount. And
50
then
grams.
I brought my portable scale, and the weight of that jar was the weight that they had to match or clear 50 grams in order to win this competition. So, yeah, that one was fun.
Yep.
Air guitar competition. The only slight letdown there is I needed a louder Bluetooth speaker, but was very impressed with the people that signed up for that one.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on his name. One of our bloggers, Eddie. Eddie fucking crushed it. He was the one who ended up finishing in second, but in my heart,
It was left to a crowd vote, a crowd cheer.
Yeah.
And the crowd cheered the way they cheered.
Yeah. I think we were all in agreement that Eddie deserved that one. But,
yeah.
Rules is rules, and the rules dictated. But no shade to the winner because he really brought it to. At this point, all of the footage will be on the various Backpacker Radio and Trek social medias. Please laugh along, but it was great. We had Anish, Heather Anderson, sit in as our guest third judge.
Yep.
We had our scorecards 1 through 10 and ranked each one of our participants. And yeah, that one was a hoot.
Yeah.
Thanks to Polly for the idea.
Yep. And then we had some good hangouts that night.
Did hang. I can measure how many years I've been to Trail Days by how much older I feel each year, because we had people over and I just
immediately went upstairs and closed your door.
I think at like 10:15 I just Irished. That was my limit.
Which was so funny because I think it was Travis that then started trying to send people up to your bathroom to use it because the downstairs one was occupied.
Yeah, that would have.
And I was just sitting by the stairs like, please don't do that.
Yeah, that would have not.
Don't wake the bear.
That would have ended with people getting the fucking boot. But
yeah.
No, it was awesome.
Yeah. That's day one.
We had a impromptu shotgun contest. I forgot who.
Did we?
You might not have been there for that.
I don't think I was.
We had Mandy from, I don't know if I should be throwing people
maybe don't,
but I'm gonna do it. Mandy from Purple Rain Skirts. She said the last shotgun she had was when we made her shotgun. I think it was like 2 trail days ago, so
really?
she had taken a 2-year hiatus from shotgunning.
Well, now that makes it a tradition.
Yeah, we had Sam Bob there. I want to say horsepower.
Yep.
Jabba had the worst shotgun I've ever seen him have. Speaking of showing your age, geez, guy. Yeah, it was good times.
Yeah,
always a good time.
Always good times
for sure.
So that's day one.
That was day one. Speaking of Trail Days, here's our first Trail Days interview with none other than Jamie Lambert. We are joined by Jamie Lambert, who has hiked the PCT, Colorado Trail, Wonderland Trail, Tahoe Rim Trail, Trans-Catalina Trail, Tour du Mont Blanc, I'll have some questions, the CDT, and this year actively adding the AT to the long list to make it her Triple Crown. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us here on Backpacker Radio.
Thanks for having me. It's finally happening.
Yeah. What is your trail name?
I don't really have one, so I've never really accepted one.
Okay. What are some of the trail names that you've shed?
Well, right now on this trail, they've been calling me JJ. So I've gone from like just Jamie, because I'm like, oh, no trail name, just Jamie. So then just Jamie kind of turned short to like, oh, JJ. So I think I'm kind of leaning towards that. But on the PCT, I did it with my little sister. So it was like, we didn't really go by trail names. It was more of just like, we were known as like the sisters. So yeah. And then I feel like on the CDT, once again, like my little trail families I was hiking with, it's like you develop that relationship where it's like more than just a trail family. It's like they become my friends. So yeah, we've just kind of gone our normal name. So I feel like I've never really accepted any, but out here, I'm like, all right, I'm sick of saying, oh, I don't have a trail name, so I've just kind of accepted it. So, JJ. Yeah, we'll go with JJ.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite that somebody tried to apply to you, and you're just like, nah? Oh,
God, I do, but I don't know if I want to say it.
You have
to say it. You have to say it.
You definitely have to say it.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so on the PCT, I was using, the straps of my trekking pole. So, like, my hands got, like, this nice little white line from, just completely fried. So there was a guy from the Netherlands. He thought it was so funny to try and call me Strap-On. I'm like, I am not accepting this trail name. Like, absolutely not. So I remember the times that I was hiking with him. It's like we'd get up to some trail magic or something, and he'd convince everyone in the group to be like, hey, Strap-On. I'm like, no, you guys, that is not my name. Stop. So yeah, he tried so hard, but I'm like, nope, that is definitely not a trail name I'm accepting.
Sure.
So
you hear that, guys? If you see Jamie, definitely don't call her Strap-On.
Definitely don't do it.
Don't call her Strap-On.
I know.
She's not Jamie Strap-On.
The secret's out. I swear I would never tell that story, but yeah, so that was, they tried to make that a thing. So yes. I'm like, no, but.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, because now that will be a thing.
Yeah. You guys are welcome.
Yeah. So you mentioned that your first hike, PCT, was with your sister.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration for getting into the PCT in the first place?
So back in, I would say 2016, me and my little sister were actually doing like a weekend backpacking trip in Washington. And it's like an area where there's, it's popular now because, unfortunately social media, you post a picture and it blows up and then everyone wants to go to that alpine lake. So we went on just a quick weekend backpacking trip up there. And as we were leaving, this guy kind of comes over like waving at me like, hey, we need a ride. And I'm like, what? Like so confused on what's happening. So it was a guy that was hiking the PCT, and his dad joined him, I think, for a section of the trail. And so I guess his dad's knees were really bothering him. So he's like, hey, can we just get a ride like down the road? And I'm like, I don't think you know where you're at. Like, this isn't just a trail and then you can hop onto a road. I'm like, it's at least like an hour to town. So long story short, the guy and his dad hopped in the back of the truck. It was like my first hitch I've ever picked up. Took him into town and dropped him off. And, you know, he made a comment about like, if you ever get the opportunity to do, you know, the PCT or any long trails, he's like, it'll be the best thing you've ever done. So that kind of just like planted the seed. It was like the idea of like, And then fast forward about a year.
How old were you when that happened?
I was 23.
Okay.
So
were you not familiar with the PCT at that point?
I mean, I knew about it a little bit,
Yeah.
but it was just, you know, from being living at like Snoqualmie Pass, it's like, okay, you know, just a little familiar, but I didn't really understand or like know anything about the Thru-Hiking world or community. So it was all new to me. So yeah, fast forward a year, and then it was like me and my little sister were talking, and we're like, we should just do it, you know? And we were both kind of at a point in our life, like, you know, I just broke up with an ex-boyfriend, and she was kind of going through a little transition, and it was like, let's just go do it. So the only thing that was a struggle was we actually both worked together. So we used to work for an orthodontist. And so when he hired me on, he was very hesitant of like, okay, I'm hiring sisters, right? So we worked together, I would say probably like 2 years. And then we had to go to him and be like, hey, so not only is one person quitting and leaving, like we're both going to leave. So that was probably the hardest thing, is like, you know, having to leave that behind. So yeah, we the idea started, and then it was like, let's just go make this happen. So once again, I had no idea, knew nothing about Thru-Hiking. And so of course we like over-planned everything. So it was just like, you know, but that was also the excitement and kind of the build up to the trail. It's like, we're going to go do this. And I remember my family's like, you're going to do what? Like they had no idea, but at least, you know, the both of us were together. So it wasn't like me going by myself or vice versa. So yeah, went down and had no idea what I was doing. I overpacked, and it was like, you know, I have this 65-liter Osprey, and, you know, quickly it was just like, I don't need this, I don't need that, just like constantly like removing. And yeah.
I'm going to interrupt you quickly.
Yeah.
You said that you both worked at an orthodontist office.
Mm-hmm.
How many, if you had to estimate, how many like depressed early teenagers did you see coming through your office?
Oh, so many. So
Yeah.
many kids did not want to be there.
Yeah.
But it was honestly like, so yeah, I worked for an orthodontist for 10 years.
Okay.
So, and he allowed me to do, you know, so many amazing adventures and weekend trips, and, you know, working 4 days a week. It's like I always had Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and, you know, I could take a Thursday off or a Monday off. So we actually, we quit to do the PCT. And then after I finished the trail, it's like, you know, what am I doing now? What's next? Mm-hmm. So he actually hired me back. Actually my little sister back too. So we went back to work for him. And then there was just like this constant running joke with him. I'm like, hey, you know, there's 2 more long trails, you know? He's like, I'm just waiting for you to leave me again. It's only a matter of time. So yeah, pretty much from the PCT to the CDT was about 6 years.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you know, I would do smaller through hikes in between. So it kind of fills up, you know, scratch that through hiking itch. But I was like, I need to go do another long trail. So once again, it was hard to, you know, leave him, and because it's, you know, he's been so great to me, and I really enjoyed what I did. So yeah, then CDT.
Back to the orthodontist thing. Is there beef with orthodontists and dentists? Are those like rival worlds?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What's
What's
some
the
of
drama?
the common beef?
It's more of like, okay, so orthodontists, right? We specialize braces and Invisalign. But then now you get the dentists that are like advertising of like, oh, we can do Invisalign.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
My dentist does every time I'm in.
My dentist
Yeah.
currently wants me to do Invisalign.
Yeah.
Oh, don't do it.
It's only like
Really?
$10,000. So I don't know
Right?
why you wouldn't do it.
I
Yeah.
know.
Well, I've never had braces or retainer, but they said that my bottom teeth
Oh, yeah.
They've got to fix
You've
the.
never had braces? Your teeth
No.
are remarkably straight for never having braces.
That's what I thought
Yeah.
until they told me they want me to do Invisalign.
Yeah.
But they want my bottom teeth to straighten out a bit so that they can fix the chip from Wisconsin.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, this trip just keeps coming back to me.
it's
the gift that keeps
what
on
happened
giving.
in Wisconsin?
I broke my face.
Oh, that's right. I think I saw it on Instagram.
Yeah, so I briefly told them no. I was like, look, I'm getting married in August. Like,
Yeah.
you're not putting an Invisalign on me.
No.
But yeah, that's currently in the talks.
I mean, I feel like every time you're in the dentist, it's just like, oh, hey, if you want, we could
Yeah.
make it perfect.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I know that they like to just throw that out there. But I mean, just from like my experience, you know, you go, orthodontists go the extra, I don't know how many years it is for schooling to specialize in straightening versus like, this is, yeah, once again, just my experience, in my opinion, about the surrounding like dentists that I would work with. It's like a lot of the Invisalign is kind of AI in a sense. So it's like you can go on and it's like, okay, you can predict of this is, you know, how the patient's teeth is now. And then, okay, you do X amount of aligners. And then this is, okay, essentially the final result. But a lot of times, you know, your teeth don't necessarily respond in the way that the Invisalign is generating. So then you get the dentists that are like, well, I don't really know how to fix this. Like every situation is so different. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we've had patients that, you know, the dentist would offer Invisalign, they do it, and then they're like, oh my gosh, now I'm having like TMJ issues or my bite isn't fitting together properly. So that's where like an orthodontist would specialize and be able to help correct like your bite, right? So we would get a lot of patients that would be like, oh yeah, my dentist, I did some Invisalign, but now it's worse. And so then they're having to go through even more work. So it's kind of like, yeah, orthodontist might be a little more expensive, but it's also like you're paying, you know, essentially what you get. Yeah. So, I mean, if you have like minor crowding or shifting, it's like, yeah, you know, you can definitely do some aligners, but if there's anything more with like bite correction and things like that, it's like, definitely just pay the extra money and see a specialist. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was a fun job. I mean, but I just got to the point where I was so burnt out. I'm like, from where I lived and I worked, it was about an hour. So I'd have to wake up at like 4:30 in the morning, leave my house a little after 5, drive the hour, and then, you know, do like basically a 10 to 12 hour day at work, drive home. So it's like, you know, my schedule is like 4:30 in the morning, and sometimes I'd get home like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. So to do that after 10 years, it's just like, all right, I'm getting burnt out. Yeah, so fair.
Are you naturally a morning person?
No.
Okay.
No. Even after 10 years of waking up.
Yeah. No. I feel like I just kind of got stuck in that routine though. It's just like, you know, it's nice to, okay, Monday through Thursday, this is my schedule. So it's just, I mean, there were pros and cons, you know, to waking up and commuting. It's like, at least I can drink my coffee and kind of wake up, and then vice versa going home. It's like, at least I can kind of decompress. Yeah. But having to commute over Snoqualmie Pass, you know, twice a day, especially in the winter, the snow, got so bad. And then especially, you know, as the years would pass, like they would just find any reason to close it down so that I'm like at work and I'm like, sweet, so I'm stranded here. So, but luckily I had my older sister lives close by, so it would just be like, hey, what's for dinner tonight? I'm coming over. Yeah. So
how many sisters?
I have 2 sisters and a brother.
Okay.
So 2 older, I'm number 3, and then my little sister.
Got it.
So
what was it like doing the PCT with your sister?
California was great. And then once we hit Oregon, once we hit Oregon, it was just longer days. I mean, we were essentially trying to get through Oregon, you know, what's like the 14-day challenge, like 2 weeks to get through. I think we did it in like 16 days. But, you know, just those longer days, you start getting tired, and being sisters, we just started arguing about like dumb stuff where it's just... Yeah.
And then recall an especially stupid argument?
Huh?
Can you recall an especially stupid argument?
I don't remember like if there one specifically. I don't remember, but I remember like a moment. I remember standing basically right near Mount Adams. So Trout Lake area, I believe. And, you know, Mount Adams is right there. And I can't remember what we were arguing about, but just something stupid. Her and I are just both screaming at each other. And I'm like, you get this beautiful view of the mountain. And her and I are just arguing.
This is just like in 4th grade. You stole my Barbie.
Quit stealing my clothes. You know? So, no, I don't remember anything specifically. But, yeah, it was hard because, you know, being the first through hike, like I didn't know any different. So we shared a tent. And then we had very similar hiking styles. So it was like, I mean, we constantly hiked together all day long. So it was just like, you never really get that alone time of like, I need my space. And then I think what was hard too is like, I have this natural ability, like, you know, she's my little sister. So I'm always worrying about, is she doing okay? You know, I kind of naturally took like that leadership role. So it was like, hey, this is where we're camping. This is where water is. And so, you know, if there was a time where it's like, hey, I need some space, I'll meet you here. It's like, then I would get ahead and I'd feel like, okay, is she doing okay? So I kind of struggled with that quite a bit on the trail. But I mean, I'm super grateful that we got to share the experience. And
now, if she were sitting in the chair and you were asking her, would she say that you were being like too overbearing, or would she appreciate all of the?
I think she would appreciate it all. But yeah, it was definitely an adventure.
What's the age difference?
17 months.
Oh, close.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're super close. I mean, I definitely.
Your parents are insane to have 3 kids already and then be like, we're going to wait 20 minutes and do this again.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think she might have been a
Surprise.
So,
yeah.
No, it was amazing. But at the same time, when we got back from the trail, it was like, all right, don't talk to me for like 6 months.
Sure, totally.
But then it was hard because we would work together. So it's like, I mean, we saw each other all the time, but you know, and even those sections where it's like, we might have not had the best moments after trail, I would say probably the following year, we went back and like re-hike certain sections to kind of create new memories. It's like, you know, I just don't like that thinking about a certain area and be like, oh gosh, maybe I was a little harsh or I said some things I shouldn't have said. And then, so yeah, to be able to go back and kind of recreate those memories, it was fun. So yeah. And then after that, my parents just, you know, like I said, at first they're like, you're doing what? You know, just had no idea about through hiking. And then after that, it was just, hey, I'm going to go do this trail. I'm going to do that trail. And, you know, especially me just going by myself, it's like they just gained so much experience and, you know, they were comfortable with me leaving. So by the time I'm out here, everyone's like, are you sure? You're not too worried about her? And my mom's like, she's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned. Like, so.
Are your parents still tracking your every move?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You carrying like a satellite communicator?
Yeah, so I have my Garmin, but I'm surprised how much I've had like cell phone service out here.
Yeah.
So it's like, I call my mom probably every morning. So it's like, you know, and if I don't, it's like, I'll call you the next day. But I have like those the National Geographic maps at home. You know, of course, you know, PCT, CDT, AT. And so on the CDT, she started writing like little sticky notes. And so she'd like tag it. So she kind of followed me up the map. And then I have a 5-year-old niece. So when my mom watches them, like she gets excited. Okay, where's Auntie Jamie at? So they'll call or text and like, where are you at? So then they'll just put the little sticky note. And so when I get home, it's kind of fun to look at and see their little notes and stuff. So
you're inspiring the next generation of hikers.
I know. That's what I keep telling my niece. I'm like, you're going to be a little hiker trash. You have no choice. You're going to hike with me. So, yeah.
Before we move on from the sister thing, maybe we won't. I'm curious, what is the long-term impact on your guys' relationship? Did that make you stronger? Obviously, immediately after the trail, I imagine there's some friction, which is normal. But over like the long term, did it have any impact?
I mean, I feel like, you know, we have those memories that like her and I can bond and share, and those inside jokes are like little things. So I think that, you know, being able to share those memories with my sister is super special. Right now in the moment, I don't know if it's made us stronger. My family, we're all super close anyway. So it's like, yeah, I think it's just more of the gratitude of being like, I'm super grateful we did it when we could, you know, where her and I were both at in that period of time in our lives. So yeah.
Last sister question from me. Do you have any tips for someone who wants to do one of the big 3 with a sibling?
I mean, sibling or significant other, I mean, I definitely give props to people that can do that. Anytime I do meet people out on trail, I'm like, hey, how's it going? Just curious, you know? But I would say definitely like have your own time out on trail. It's like, I know it's so easy to constantly want to spend every waking second together, whether you're hiking, camping. It's like, I think it's important to take time throughout the day to have essentially your own time. You know, it's like, hey, even if it's like a mile or 5 miles or whatever it is, just, you know, to kind of get that alone time. I think it's important because, yeah, trails are long. I mean, to spend 4 or 5 months with someone every waking second, it's like, yeah. So I would say, yeah, definitely just get your own space and take that time if you need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're obviously a chronic through hiker now.
I guess so.
At what point did you know that like this just clicked for you? This lifestyle clicked for you? Was it on the PCT? Was it after
I think
you
it was
finished?
after the PCT. Yeah, I mean, on the trail, you know, people are like, oh, it's going to change your life. And I'm like, yeah, really, how is it? You know, and then after the trail, I would say probably about 6 months after, it's like, you know, you start to feel that urge or the itch to be like, I'm ready to go do another little trail. So after the PCT, you know, being with my sister, that's when I went to the Colorado Trail. I was like, I just need a solo adventure. I just need to go by myself, like take all this knowledge that I'm kind of learning about myself, my gear, my through hiking style, and go do a trail by myself. So the Colorado Trail was kind of the next one that I felt, okay, it's short enough. It's the perfect amount of time. So yeah, then just kind of pulled the trigger and went for that.
Yeah.
So,
What was
and then
it like?
I think after the Colorado Trail, it was like, yeah, I'm like a solo hiker. I just got to go. So
Yeah.
then it just kind of turned into, okay, so I have this much time off of work. Like, what trails can I do? So then that's kind of where I went and did like what did I do? The Tahoe Rim. So that was about a week. So it's like, okay, I have a week off of work. I'm going to go do that one. The Wonderland Trail, you know, it's nice with Mount Rainier being in my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
So took off and did that. And then, yeah,
Catalina,
Yeah, the
Tour du Mont
Catalina.
Blanc.
What year did you do the Tahoe Rim Trail?
21,
21.
I think. Yeah. So basically like the 6 years in between the PCT and the CDT, it was like going off and doing these smaller ones. So like
Yeah.
I said, it just kind of like scratches that little like through hiking itch. But, you know, there comes a point where you're like, I need to go do another really long trail.
Yeah.
So the CDT was next on the list.
Going from PCT to the Colorado Trail, what was it like going from sharing a tent to like having to be concerned with someone else's well-being to just being on your own?
Honestly, I loved it. Yeah, it was just, I mean, there was times I remember, you know, being in Colorado, not really knowing much about thunderstorms, but I learned real quick. Yeah. Especially like the first like 5 days on trail. It's like, okay, around 1 or 2 o'clock, the storm would roll in. I'd just hunker down and wait for a few hours. But, you know, those nights of like sleeping completely alone, I'm like, I'm really uncomfortable, but I would find ways to like calm myself down or just like watch a movie or whatever it was. And then after you do it a few times, you're like, okay, I got this. Like, it's not terrible. Or I would sleep like next to some sort of river for like white noise. And then, yeah, eventually you do it a certain amount of times. It's like, I'm not too concerned about it anymore. So, yeah. But I definitely, it was a nice little slice of humble pie going from the PCT to the Colorado Trail. Cause I literally flew in and then started like the next day. Cause you picked me up at the train station, right?
No. Did I get you at the train
I think
station?
you got me at the train station.
Okay.
And then I was trying to like remember, I'm like, okay, and then we went out. I don't know if we got drinks or ate. And then were you living with someone or you were just crashing?
No, I was. If this was 2019, I was sleeping in Greg's garage.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
And that's how, okay, so I knew Greg and then he's like, hey, I'm not home, but you were there.
Yeah.
And you could give me a ride.
Yes.
So then, yeah. Then I went and crashed there and then, yeah, started the Colorado Trail the next day. And then, yeah, I mean, it was the first few days. I'm like, what am I doing out here? I just got my butt kicked. The elevation, you know, the weather, but I ended up, I think I did it in like 3 weeks. I just kind of got in the mindset and I just like went for it. So,
Yeah, you zoomed that one.
yeah.
Were you doing big miles on the PCT also?
I would say like California normal average miles, but then after California,
I guess you said you did Oregon in 16
Oregon,
days.
yeah, we were doing like 30s through Oregon, and then got to Washington, and I think we were still doing 20s. But then hit Snoqualmie Pass. It was like, I'm so ready to be done. Let's just like get the miles done. And so so then going out to the Colorado Trail, I'm like trying to do a 20-mile day. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I do 20 miles? Like, you go from one trail to that. So
there's no oxygen.
I know, it's very true. Very true. But that's when I quickly learned, I'm like, you can't compare trails, right? Yeah. It's like your one experience from one trail going to the next. I'm like, you can't sit there and say, oh, well, I was doing this many miles on this trail, because every trail is different. Yeah. So that's when I was just kind of quickly, like, my mindset changed of like, okay, I can't compare trails. So moving forward from there, it was just take it in, and each trail is going to be its own journey.
Yeah.
So
obviously with you basically nonstop backpacking for the last 6-7 years now, what is it about Thru-Hiking that has hooked you?
I think it's just like the freedom out here. It's so simple. It's, yes, you have to put in the work, do the miles. But it's just like, the simplicity of it. It's like, I just wake up, I drink my coffee, eat my little breakfast, pack up, and just start walking. And it's, really only worried about, okay, where's the water at and where's my next town? So for me, it's also like a form of, I feel like, meditation, because it's like I'm out on trail and I don't think about anything. I know some people come out here and it's like they want to think about all these life-changing things, and me, I just get out here and I just, like, my mind is so clear and I'm just kind of in the moment. And so I think it's just simplicity, and it's very calming for me. I mean, granted, there's days where I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I call my mom and I'm like, is there something wrong with me? Why do I enjoy this for fun? Especially those moments when it's cold or raining or whatever it might be. But at the end of the day, it's, the type 2 fun. So it's like, you just look back and I'm like, it was a shitty day, but I always find something to be grateful for while I'm on trail. It's like, you know what? I worked my butt off the last X amount of years or months to be out here. So it's just, trying to find the gratitude in every day. And generally, I feel like I'm the best version of myself out here. So I love it.
You're turning 30 this year, right?
No, I'm 31. I'll be
are
32.
You? I tried to do the math from when you said 23.
Yeah.
Okay, 31 going into 32.
So I did the Tour du Mont Blanc for my 30th birthday.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Have you gotten the fork in the road, like doom in your mind type thing yet? Because I had that on the AT where it was like, I could keep doing this forever, but I also want a white picket fence.
I know.
And like as I got closer to 30, it was just more of like I felt like the fork was more forked, and it was like, you really got to pick.
I know.
Like, are you going to go home for a bit and get a job and like maybe meet someone and do that route? Or are we just going to start planning what's next? And I don't like having to choose that. No. I don't like having to make that decision. Fortunately, I needed to make some money. So I went with the get a job thing, and it all flowed from there. But have you hit that kind of like mental collapse yet of how do I juggle both?
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I feel like after this trail, like mentally, after doing the CDT, it was like, you do 1 or 3 trails. You don't do 2. So I'm like, I've had this goal of like, I want my triple crown. So I think once I have it, then it's going to be like, well, shit, now what? So that's where I feel like I might have to be like, okay, do I continue to do these trails, or do I find, finally start to settle down and think about what's next? But I don't know. I feel like the last basically 6-7 years, I've kind of had this perfect balance of like through hiking these smaller trails while having a career. But in terms of like relationships, I'm like, I don't know if I'm there. Like, I've been enjoying my own company so much and like doing my own thing. And I believe everything happens for a reason. So I'm like, I just need to keep doing my thing right now. And I think after this trail, it might hit me a little bit more of like, okay, I've completed the goal. Shit. So now what?
You get to Katahdin and everyone's cheering and crying. You're like, oh, shit.
I know. Now I have to go back to the real world and actually think about these things. So I mean, we'll see what comes of after this trail.
Yeah.
Also, my living situation might change a little bit after this trail too. So I think it's kind of might be the moment to figure out what's next. But right now I'm like, just be in the moment, enjoy the trail day by day. Like, not really rush to get to Katahdin. It's just because, once I rush and get there, I don't want to have to think about what's next.
Yeah. Are you moving after the trail?
What's that?
Are you moving after the trail?
I don't know yet. So like where I live right now, my little house is essentially attached to like my dad's work. And he's been talking about retiring. So I know once he retires, they'll sell the family business and then a house will.
You're getting evicted?
Exactly. I'm like, no. And so, I mean, it's been talk, like we've, had these conversations like, okay, it's only a matter of time before it happens. But he's been talking about like, okay, end of the year, I would like to retire. So it's like, okay, I got till the end of the year, maybe next summer. But yeah, so I'm kind of like, what's next? I've definitely thought about not the whole van life, but like I would like a camp trailer. So I have a little truck right now. So it's like, okay, to have a little camp trailer. My parents are building a new house right now on 5 acres. So they have a little corner lot. And so my dad's like, well, I can build you like a cement slab. Like you can park your camp trailer out back there. So I might be moving into a camp trailer. We'll see.
Yeah. That's a good transition for hiker trash.
Yeah.
Like that is the next step.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm at this point where it's like, I don't see myself buying a house anytime soon. One, it's like, I don't know where I'd want to live. Or two, I'm like, that's too much pressure. I can't commit to that. So the next best thing is, a little house on wheels. So, but my little house that I've been in, it's like, I've been there for like 7-8 years now. So it's like my little home. So I'm sad to have to close that chapter, but at the same time, I'm like, it's kind of the perfect timing of like figuring out what's next. Yeah. So where I end up.
So you've seen quite a bit of the country on foot at this point. If gun to your head, you had to settle somewhere based on what you've seen, where would you land?
Oh man, I really love the PNW. I mean, Washington is amazing. I've also been in the little small town my whole entire life. So it's like, I'm ready to leave that area. But at the same time, it's like, I have my niece and my nephews. And so it's like, it's hard for me to leave that. I really like Bend, Oregon, of course, it's amazing there. So I would say I'd probably end up somewhere in Oregon, or my little sister lives in Colorado. So maybe, might couch surf around there. But there's a few places in like Wyoming and Montana that I'm like, ooh, I could definitely, from the CDT, it's like, I could definitely stay here for, a few months to a year. So that's also where the camp trailer comes into play. It's like, at least I could go park somewhere for a few months. And then I would definitely love to spend some time maybe in like Arizona, Utah area, like in the winter. So I don't know. I've got options.
Yeah. Sounds like you put thought into it.
Yeah. Too many places to choose.
Yeah. Do you have any selfish Wonderland Trail questions before I get to my selfish Tour du Mont Blanc questions?
Not at the moment, because I feel like we've gone down the Wonderland
We've talked
rabbit
about it
hole.
quite a bit.
Like I feel like I've done my selfish questions there.
Yeah. Good.
Okay.
I'm mainly interested in Tour du Mont Blanc because that's one that Garrett has agreed to do.
Okay.
Not this year. We've got too much stuff with the wedding planning, but our goal with him is essentially start him off on bougie hikes and take away the bouginess as we go.
I love it.
And kind of just trick him into becoming hiker trash.
Yeah.
And Tour du Mont Blanc is one where I'm like, I really want to do this. And they have wine and cheese. And so he's like, interesting.
Okay. I love it.
So, yeah, we want all the tips about it.
Yes.
So I have some very targeted questions for you.
Yes.
I guess let's start with the fast facts of it. I'm sure we've talked about Tour du Mont Blanc 1,000 times, but just to give context here, just give us the brief overview of Tour du Mont Blanc.
So it's basically a 100-mile loop through Switzerland, Italy, and France. Most people, I think, do it counterclockwise. It is definitely not easy. It's a nice little slice of humble pie.
How does it compare to the AT from that standpoint?
I mean, at least out on the Tour du Mont Blanc, you're like wide open. So it's like you can see everything around you, but the climbs are definitely straight up, straight down. There's no switchbacks. So, I mean, it's definitely not super rocky, not a lot of tree roots. But in terms of like the climbs, it's like, all right, you're going straight up that and then going straight back down.
Yeah.
So, but I also...
Is it similar to the Wonderland Trail in terms of elevation change? Or
yeah,
harder?
it'd be very similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
I mean, the thing that's nice with the Tour du Mont Blanc, though, it's like there's a climb and you're like, don't really want to go up it or down it. But there's also a gondola, so I can just pay the $30 and I'm just going to go up the gondola and then start hiking. So,
There's got to be a term, Gandhi blazing. There's got to be some sort of
I know.
lingo for that.
Garrett's gonna be all over that.
And that's what I did. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to sit there and like kill myself over this climb and
Yeah.
struggle. I'm like, you know what? This is my birthday. It's my journey, my trail. I can do whatever I want. So I definitely did it, I think twice. It was just like, yep, we're taking the gondola up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, if you look at your far out, you zoom in at the elevation profile, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. I'm saving my energy
Yeah.
for Aperol spritz.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so interesting that you said counterclockwise. I'm at the very elementary level of research. I'm just trying to
Okay.
figure out the logistics at this point,
Yeah.
lodging. What do you know why people do it counterclockwise? Because I've been looking at it clockwise because that's the way that far out presents it.
I don't know. I don't remember the reason why. Yeah, I honestly, I really didn't do much research. Like,
Okay.
I'm not like a research and then go hike a trail. I'm like, I just want to go wing it. Like,
Yeah.
I get on a trail and I want to be surprised.
So this is good news for me that you don't have to like prepare every ounce of it because that's where I'm at this
Yeah.
point. Did you do it clockwise or counterclockwise?
I did it counterclockwise. Started like September 1st. So actually it was really cool. So I had no idea the UTMB was going on. So flew in, got to Chamonix, and then it was like, what are all these people doing here? And then, yeah, there you could just hear the cowbells and people finishing the race.
wow.
And so I was like, this is so cool. Like just a really amazing experience. But I
As
also...
you're dying over 10 days.
I know.
Is it like a day for them or something?
Yeah, I
A
think
day
it
and
was
a
like
half?
22 hours or something.
Jesus.
It was, I'm
Wow.
like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But it was really cool, like standing at the finish line. I'm like, I don't even know these people, but I'm like getting choked up and like starting to cry a little bit. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like just the whole community out there.
How long is the trail?
It's like 100 miles, I want to say.
22 hours.
It's
Stop.
insane.
And I've been looking at so there's a lot of guiding services.
Yes.
And I think when I was first researching the trail, it seemed like that was the way that people did it, and maybe like the only way to approach it. And as I'm learning more about it, it sounds like there's a lot of like backpacker and through hiking style to it as well.
There is, but I think if I were to redo it, I would probably do a guided service.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
I know. I know.
That's a point for me.
So, because yeah, that was the thing. I was like, okay, I just want to go out and backpack it,
Yeah.
right? And so I did it. I think it was 10 days that I ended up doing the trail. I would say there was maybe 4 nights that I actually slept in my tent.
Yeah. But you're carrying it the entire time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're carrying all this stupid extra weight that you don't need to, and then you
Yeah.
see all these people slack packing. You're like, oh man, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I should have just booked in the guided service. But yeah, I mean, there was a few places like they call it wild camping.
Yeah.
But in Italy, you can't wild camp. So I remember there was a day, we kind of learned, it was like, okay, we can't camp. So I think we had to do 18 miles, and it was a hard 18 miles, but ended up getting this like amazing hotel. And it was just, the picture perfect hotel in Italy, and you had a little balcony, you could look out on the street, and it all worked out. But yeah, I would say if I redid it, I would definitely look into staying in the huts.
Yeah.
But it's hard because it's like, the through hiker mind is like, I don't want to sit there and plan and be like, I have to do this many miles to get here. And it's like, I just want to hike and then stop when I'm tired and camp.
Yeah.
And then they also book up. So
Yeah.
that's what's
So
hard too.
That's the part that I'm at. We're recording this in May, obviously trail
Yeah.
days. And I'm trying to do this at the end of July. And that's also the busy, like, traveling season for Europeans as well.
Yeah.
So everything's booked. Like
Yeah.
there's like a night here at a hotel or like one night at a one of the huts, but to
Yeah.
like make it connected is just like,
Well,
that's
after
not-
we're done here, I can give you some pointers, and we
Yeah.
can look at the far out map and be like, okay, you should stay here,
Okay.
don't stay here, skip this, take the gondola here. So we can go over a little itinerary.
Yeah, sure. I guess selfishly, I want to get into that a little bit. Is there like a couple of standout highlights, whether it's campsites, towns, like what are the things that can't be missed on the trail?
Oh my gosh. I'm so terrible with all these names. I look at them and I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce.
Yeah, especially
So I'm gonna.
I could look at the word right now and not be able to pronounce it. So
Yeah,
you're off the hook
okay.
with having done it
So I'm gonna
years
butcher
ago.
all of these names.
Yeah.
So don't hold me to this. Courmayeur, I believe, is in Italy. That's definitely a place I would stay maybe a day or two if you could. Like
Okay.
it's just a cute little Italian town, and you can walk around. They have all the food. Chamonix in France is a really cool place to be. So
Yeah.
if you can spend, a day or two in there.
That seems like the hub for
Yes.
people like start and end there.
Yeah. So I want to say Leuche. Once again, I'm
Yeah.
going to butcher all these names.
Starts with an H. I know
Yes.
the one you're talking about. Yeah.
That's like the official start of
Right.
the TMB. So that's kind of where you get the little arch and you can take your photo. But if you fly into Chamonix, you can take a train. I think it's like $2 and maybe like a 20-minute train ride into Leuche. It'll drop you off right there. And that's where most people will start. There is actually, I can't remember the name, but there is a campground. So you can camp basically at the start of the trail. And then if you wanted to, day one, you could take the gondola up. I think it's like a 4,000-foot climb or something crazy. You look at it, you're like, I do not want to go up that.
Yeah.
So if you wanted, you could take the gondola up there. And then, I'm trying to remember all these names I'm so terrible with, but I would say, go into Courmayeur for sure in Italy. And then, that's about it of the names that I remember. If I look back at my
Sure.
photos,
We'll
I'll
do
be
a
able to
little
tell you.
planning sesh after
Yeah.
this.
So
Yeah.
I've got a question. Talking about like staying a few days in Chamonix. Are there, you don't have to name them, but are there a handful of places along the way where instead of it just being a hut on a mountain, where you're in a town and you could stay for a couple days?
yeah, there's quite a few of those.
Okay. Because I think it'd be fun to like stay a few days in a town, hike between them, stay a few days in
yeah.
a town, and like really just drag it out.
If you have the time, I would say, having 2 weeks out there so you can enjoy, like take a day or two here and there, definitely do it. I wish I spent more time in Switzerland. It was just kind of a small little section. And then I remember, you look at your far out and you're like, oh, it's a shortcut. I can take this. It was not a shortcut. It was so hard. It was, once again, I'm going to butcher this, but I think it's called like the Walker's Hout Route or something.
So that was the other thing that was recommended to me
Okay.
because like that can be done.
Yes.
Obviously not nearly as popular, but
Yeah.
everything that I've read is like, this is going to chew you up and spit you out.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw it on like the far out. I was like, oh, we could just take this. It's like 6 miles. Oh my gosh. It was like, I think 3,000 feet of gain in like 2.5 miles. And then it was like 3,000 feet descend in 2 miles. So
Yeah.
it was just like straight up, straight down. So it was definitely not a shortcut, but that was a little chunk of the Walker's Hout Route
Yeah.
that I ended up doing. And yeah, it was rough.
Yikes.
But that trail, it's like, oh, it could be cool because once again, I think it's like a hut system. So you
Yeah.
don't need to carry your big overnight backpacks. It's like you could just do the smaller ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you wanted a little like slice of it, you could like and show you the little shortcut.
Yeah. My knees are crying just
I
based on
know.
the description.
Take your ibuprofen.
Yeah.
When you're talking about slack packing, are these services bringing your actual like stuff
Yeah.
from hut to hut?
Yep.
So you just don't see it till the next hut?
Yep.
Are there roads up there? How do they get
That's a great
there?
question. I mean, they definitely have a system down where it's like, essentially when you're paying for this service, they already have this itinerary, right? And they've been doing it for however long. But yeah, essentially the services, like they stay at basically the same hotels or places. So it's like, yeah, you wake up in the morning and these hotels, like their continental breakfast is so good. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, the fresh croissants and like like whatever they have, it's like, and it puts our continental breakfasts to shame.
I was gonna say you encounter quite a bit of that on the AT as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like comparing that continental
Yeah.
breakfast, you're just crying into your
Yeah.
stale cereal.
But that was like the best thing though, is like you walk into, you know, a little town, or it's just a random like beautiful like refugio.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like homemade pies and espresso and croissants, and you're like, this is the best thing ever. It's like almost like trail magic every day.
Yeah. Did you do it solo?
I did it with my friend Krista.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would it be difficult to do solo? It seems I've never done an international hike.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I definitely feel like there was a little bit of a language barrier, so it was nice to like have a friend with you where you're like, what are they talking about? What
do
are they
either of
saying?
you speak any of the languages?
Nope.
Okay.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So then I feel like I would make it very clear, like if I came up to someone, I'm like, hi, you know, how's it going, or something, like just to be like, hey, I'm American, you know, because sometimes they like, start speaking to you in French or Italian or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like I need to make it clear, like I don't know the language.
Yeah,
so but yeah, the croissants, eat as many as you can out there.
Obviously, that's
so
not
good.
a problem.
On the topic of Zach trying to do it at the end of July and that seeming to be busy season, you did it in September.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a time of year that you would recommend?
Honestly, I love like the beginning of September for like a lot of the hikes, right? It's kind of like towards the end of peak season and things are slowing down a bit. But I mean, when I did it, there was still, so be prepared. You're going to probably see like over 100 people a day on the trail. Like
Wow.
it's like,
This is in September. You're seeing 100
and
people.
this was in
I imagine
September,
End of
so-
July is probably like 2 to 3 times.
and
that.
it sucks because sometimes you'll get these guided services, right? And they have like 20 people in their group. So then there's just this long line of people and you're like, fuck, how do I pass these people?
Yeah.
Gondola.
It's exactly.
That's how.
So it's so hard when you're like, I got to start picking off people. And then, you know, you're doing like a climb.
Right.
Then you get to the top. You're like, okay, pass all these people trying to take a break. And then they start coming up to you. You're like, shit, I got to keep going. So it's hard, yeah, to get stuck behind these big groups. But
Yeah.
Is it kind of like vibes of doing a 14er? Like each peak is a 14er and the crowds are
yeah.
like 14er type
Yeah.
crowds?
Yeah. Yeah. There's all different types of people out there, but you can definitely see a lot of like the big groups. It's like, oh shit, there's 20 here or 10 here. But it was a really beautiful trail. Like the views, the mountains, it was just, you're out there, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so pretty.
Yeah.
So
And you did it in 10 days?
yeah, it was about 10 days. So, which I felt like was the perfect amount of time.
Did you take any zeros?
Yeah, we took like I think 2 zeros in Courmayeur in Italy, and then we just wanted to get back to like Chamonix. Like that was just such a fun area. And then also in Chamonix there is, I don't even know how to pronounce it, but I will show you the word. It's essentially a like gondola that you go up and check out. Oh my gosh, what is it? It's basically like the view of Mont Blanc.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really cool. I think it's like $20 or $30, but it's really pretty to go
Yeah.
up there. And so I would say definitely do that. But yeah, I mean, overall it was a really, really beautiful trail.
Yeah.
So, but if I went back and did it again, I'm like, I would definitely slack pack this.
Yeah. No, like all the guided services are like typically 11 or 12 days.
Yeah.
And yeah.
But yeah, it's hard because you're like, I don't want to pay a service. I can just go do this by
know.
myself. But then once you're out there, you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
Do you have to follow the service's itinerary, or will they just get your stuff from point A to point B when you want to? Like, let's say I did a guided service and they're like, oh, we're all doing it in 12 days, but I want to spend 3 days in several of the towns.
I think you have to stick to their itinerary. But you might be able to find one that's like you could kind of essentially, plan your own.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, I want to take time here, there. Like they could maybe customize something.
Yeah.
But then again, it might be more expensive. I don't know.
I'm currently in talks with someone who's doing a custom thing and it is outrageously expensive.
Yeah, I believe it.
Outrageously. I'll show you. I'll share numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Episode
But I mean, you could also, that wouldn't work. I was going to say you could also like go do their itinerary. And then if you liked a place, like you could go back. But
Sure.
then that's more travel. So yeah.
How did your packing change for it? Did you pack more town clothes? Did you still pack a water filter? Like, What are you taking?
I basically had like my normal through hiking stuff, but then I had I had just like a black romper, so that was like my town clothes. I carried my bedrock, so sandals are a little bit heavier. And then flying from Seattle, I had like an airplane pillow and like actually had this like little foot hammock. So it's like just random airplane stuff that I'm like, okay, this was a dumb idea, So I had a few more items that definitely I could have done without, but it was just like the traveling items.
Yeah.
So, but I think for the most part, basically all the same, the through hiking.
Okay.
So
Only one set of town clothes.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had, like I said, it was a romper, so it was just perfect that I could just throw that on. It was like the shirt and pants and then just, the sandals. Yeah.
I'm determined to make it happen this year.
Yeah.
The photos
Oh.
I've seen are like, I can't believe this is a real place.
And even when you take the photo, it's like, it just doesn't do justice
of
of
course.
how big the mountain is.
Yeah.
Like I have a few photos where I'm like, you have to zoom in, look how small the people are. And then
Yeah.
you can get the scale of the mountain. But
Yeah.
it's so pretty.
Yeah. Okay. Chronologically, that brings us to the CDT.
Yes.
Once you had done the PCT, at what point did you know that you were going to do the CDT?
I mean, I feel like after I did the PCT, it was like, when you do one trail, you're like, I can't imagine doing all 3 trails. And then after I did one, I was like, I could probably do another. So it was just kind of in the back of my mind. And after doing all like these smaller ones, I was like, yep, I'm doing the CDT. So I just knew it was next.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I really had no desire to hike the AT. I wasn't high on the list, but I'm like, well, you do 1 or you do 3. So it's like, being out here, what hasn't been my first choice of trails, but to finish up and get the Triple Crown, get the full experience, it's been amazing.
What CDT northbound?
Yeah.
What was that experience like? I know of the 3, obviously it's the biggest ass kicker.
Oh yeah.
Did you get
But
your
it
ass
was your
kicked?
favorite of the 3, wasn't it?
It was my favorite of the 3. It was so brutal, but it was amazing. It's just, it's such a long trail, but you get more of the wow factors, right? It's like, okay, you're going, I would say probably an average of like 5 days in between towns. So it's more challenging in that sense. And then like logistically, right? So it's like you're looking at your far out, and rather just having like the red line of a trail, I'm like, you got the red, you got the blue, you got green, there's brown, there's a pink, there's so many different colors of like routes you can choose. So the CDT is more of like a choose your own adventure. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what I loved about it. It was like, I don't have to follow this exact trail. I mean, you do, but it's like, you can go off and do all these little side quests and adventures and whatever you want. So I can definitely be a choose your own adventure kind of trail. But the elements, made it through New Mexico, and I froze my ass off in New Mexico. It's like, I don't think that's what people understand, is like the desert is not warm. It is so cold. Like those nights that wake up and your water bottles are frozen.
CDT desert colder than PCT desert?
Oh
for you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Way colder. Yeah. So if you're looking to do the CDT, definitely pack your winter clothes, because I started with my quilt, and I'm like, I should have had my sleeping bag. I should have had my sleeping bag liner, all these things. I mean, I got them sent to me. But and then you get into Colorado, and there was like a late spring snowstorm that hit, so it kind of like put a damper on things. And then, doing the Colorado Trail, I've already been through the San Juan. So I'm like, okay, I have to take a lower route. Like, I'm not going to risk, people are buying ice axes and all this. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm just going to like go the lower route. And then, after like Colorado, then you just get into Wyoming, and you're in the winds. And then from there, it's, going up into Yellowstone and ending in Glacier. So it's like, you're working your ass off, you're getting your butt kicked out there, but then it's like you're rewarded with like such an epic view, or like those moments on trail where it's like you just forget about all the shitty times that you had. Mm-hmm. Versus out here, I'm like, I climb up to the top, I'm like, so where's the view, where's the climb, okay, and then I'm going back down. So it's like you're not really getting that wow factor of like, I just worked so hard to get to the top of this climb, and then I'm rewarded with what. So
I've heard from a number of people that it's hard to do the AT as the last one, but you do have to clean it up.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean,
no, continue.
I feel like with the AT though, it's, you know, it's the whole experience. So it's like, you know, I'm going from the CDT and being in town every like 5 days. You know, I think my longest day was like 7 or 8 days in between towns. Coming out here, I'm like, oh my gosh, I could be in town the next day or like 2 days. I'm like, I don't feel like I deserve this. Like I didn't hike enough, or I didn't hike, you know, X amount of miles to like deserve town. So it's like, it's kind of been a bit of a shift or change in my mind of like, no, this is part of the experience. Just go into town, enjoy it. And so I think it's about maybe 2 or 3 weeks
It's like
ago.
senioritis.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I'm like, but you know what? This is for the Triple Crown. I can do what I want. If I want to go into town, I can do that.
Yeah. It's hard, like, wanting to stay in that zone because it's so much easier when it's a 7-day stretch.
Exactly.
To stay in that zone of I'm locked in for this middle stretch and then I'll get town fever at the end.
Right.
Versus, like, being at 5 p.m. and having 5 miles left and checking your map and seeing there's a road in 2 and looking down the road and seeing there's a gas station and being like, I could grab a soda.
I know,
and then
right?
I could come back and I could have a soda with dinner.
I know.
You know, or like, oh, instead of cooking tonight, I could just go to a pizza place, grab a slice of pizza, and then come back.
Exactly.
And you're never truly like not near anything.
I know. I feel like I'm cheating.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's impossible
It
to say
feels
no
dirty.
to that too.
it is
Like,
so impossible.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely, it took me a few weeks to be like, okay, this is the AT experience, and just go with it and enjoy it. So I have been.
Yeah.
But at the very beginning, I'm like, no, I can't go into town. I was just there like a day and a half ago. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'd never had a time where I like passed trail magic and didn't stop. And in
know.
Pennsylvania, there were spots where there'd be 3 a day, and it was like, I can't eat any more ho-hos.
I know.
And I've wasted an hour between the 2 previously.
And
Like,
you feel bad, like
Yeah.
telling them, oh no, I'm okay. Because it's like, you know, they want to give you the trail magic, but I'm like, no, I'm okay.
especially once you've done trail magic, I think that's like a big thing for me is once I started doing trail magic, you know how excited they are to see a hiker. Because you're sitting there with all your food and you're just waiting, and someone comes out and you're like, yes,
I know.
eat my food, you
What do
know?
you mean you don't want anything?
Right. It like breaks your heart a little
know.
bit. So I'm always thinking that when I pass them, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings.
No, I know. But man, the trail magic I've gotten out here, I'm like, do I deserve this? Like, oh my gosh, I feel like so special. But I'm
Yeah.
like, I know how much they love it. There was one trail magic. He had a pizza oven, like full on making like mini pizzas. I'm like, this is the best day of my life. This is amazing.
Is that Fresh Grounds?
Have you met Fresh Grounds yet?
No.
Okay.
Get ready for the
He's got
best
the
grilled
most
cheese of your
notorious-
life.
Grilled cheese?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay, so you have a substantial following on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah. As of this, you're over 35,000. Do you ever have people, I imagine on the AT, but even back to the CDT, do you have people like coming up wanting to like fangirl on you?
Yes.
Yeah. How do you handle that?
I love it. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, you know, you get someone that's like, hey, I follow you on Instagram. I'm like, oh, you know, like, nice to meet you. Like, and I mean, I've also gotten like messages of like, oh, I saw you. And I'm like, well, why didn't you say anything? You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a very approachable person. And it's, so I love being able to make those connections, right? It's like, to me, you know, 35,000 might not be a lot compared to, you know, people that have over 100,000. But to me, it's also more of like the quality of followers versus quantity. It's like, I'd rather have these people that I can make genuine connections with and be like, oh, I met you here or wherever, and feel like they can, you know, message me about any hike or gear or whatever it might be versus, okay, so you've got 20,000 of like robot followers. Or it's like,
Yeah.
so to me, I'm like, it doesn't really matter the number, but it's like, I've enjoyed so much of like making those like genuine real life connections. So
Yeah.
I always appreciate when someone comes up and says something. So yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Have you not had any uncomfortable encounters? Because the AT is obviously such like a popular trail
Yeah.
close to so many towns and cities that
I haven't had any, uncomfortable ones yet, but I feel like on the CDT, this trail, I'm kind of like whatever, but I try not to post in real time, you know, so people don't know exactly where I'm at. It's just, you know, a safety precaution. But I feel like out on this trail, I've kind of been like, whatever, just because I've been around so many people. So if something did happen, at least I'm not completely alone.
Yeah.
Right. Versus like the CDT, it's like, okay, the times I am alone or I'm 5 days away from a town and something happens, versus here I'm like, so I've been a little bit more lax on this trail. But I definitely think not posting in real time has helped kind of with that. But yeah, it's always fun.
Yeah. And where are you on trail right now? You can be vague. This is going to come out in June. So
yeah, I am, like 60 miles north of like Parisburg. So in between Parisburg and like Daleville.
Yeah.
So just some random road crossing where it's like, all right, let's get off here and get into town. So
what's been the highlight of the AT so far for you?
oh gosh. Honestly, it's just, the community out here. It's been so special of just, meeting all the different hikers, and, you form your little trail families. And so just, the group that I'm hiking with has been so much fun. So there's kind of like 10 of us right now. So it's like, it seems like, I don't know if I would call it like an official trail family, but we've been together for the last, I would say maybe week to 2 weeks.
Okay.
Also, what's been fun is there's been 2 guys that I met on the CDT last year that we've been hiking together on this trail. So it was just, right before the NOC, his name's Camel. He comes up, he's like, hey, I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you since, it was probably right before we started the winds. So it's like, you just go from one trail and then you see another hiker. And so honestly, I think just the people that I've been hiking with has been so great out here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We've obviously covered a lot of miles in various trails. Haven't gotten into much of the nitty gritty in terms of stories or anything to that extent. What's in your backpacking career? What's been the most embarrassing thing that's happened to you on
most
trail?
Embarrassing. Oh man. My gosh. I mean, obviously, you know how you become a thru hiker, right?
I was going to go there as well.
Here we
We
go.
all have those stories.
And how did you become a thru hiker?
Oh, well, so it was, I remember it was just on the PCT. It was Tahoe. I remember it was me and my little sister, and then there was probably like 4 or 5 other guys that we were hiking around. And I remember she just starts giggling like as we're walking to camp. She's like, dude, I got to tell you something. And she's like, I can't tell you right now. And I'm like, no, just tell me. She's like, I'll tell you later. So we get into our tent and she's like, so I pooped my pants today. And I was like, no, you didn't. And she's like, I did. And her and I just start giggling, like laughing like crazy. And then we hear the guys start laughing, because they're laughing at us laughing. And I just kept saying, like, I don't know, how do you do that? Like, you have plenty of time to go dig a cat hole. And the next morning it happened to me. And I was like, you jinxed me. It was just one of those moments where I'm like, no, this did not just happen. So, yes, I would say.
You trusted a fart, or what went wrong?
Oh, yeah, I trusted it.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like a lot. It was enough where it's like, okay, that happened, or it just baby wipe. Let's just clean it up.
Yeah.
But it was just like, all right, well, I guess that happened.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to.
It's like the thru hiker form of cycling together.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we all have the stories, but I like to tease people where I'm like, are you a true thru hiker? And they're like, are you? I'm like, yep, I sure am.
Got the badge of honor.
Yep. So, yeah, it happens to everyone.
Yeah.
The best of us.
Right. What about scariest?
Oh, gosh. So on the CDT, I got stalked by a homeless man. It was in Silver City. So, funny story. So, getting a hitch into Silver City, I got picked up by a cop. So, we were standing on the road, throwing out the thumb, and we see the cop fly by, and then all of a sudden he stops and turns around, and we're like, are we getting a ride? Are we getting in trouble? Like, what's happening here? And so he pulls back over and he's like, hey, can I see your IDs? just check it out. And then he's like, I can give you a ride into town. We're like, yes, your first hitch in a cop car. And so he drops us off in town. We eat and then make our way to the hotel, do the town chore thing. And then I was like, all right, let's go back into town, do a quick little resupply. So my friend Kristen and I were walking down the street and we see these 2 homeless guys. And they kind of just like stop and stare at us. And then they do that thing where they just like split up. And it was like, oh no, just that pit in your stomach of like, no, this is not happening right now. And so her and I both just walk into the CVS that was right there. And we tell the people like, hey, I think these guys are following us. Can we just hang out here for a minute? And so I think we waited in there for like 30 minutes. And they went out and pretty much told them like, hey, you guys need to leave. Like, you can't loiter around here in the area. So the one guy leaves, goes across the street. And we're like, we think the coast is clear. And we're like 0.2, maybe 0.3 away from our hotel. Like, it's super close. So we walk out and we start heading back to the hotel. And he sees us and then walks back across the street. And we're like, shit. So then we start walking around like the backside of this Denny's. And then he starts following us around the backside of Denny's. And it's just like that sinking feeling of like, really? Like, just leave me alone. So then we walk into Denny's and the lady's like, oh, you know, table for two. We're like, actually, can we just like hang out here for a second? Like, this guy's following us. And she's like, oh yeah, take your time. I'm calling the cops. So she gets on the phone, and in this Denny's, it has like these big glass windows, and he's like leaning against the glass, like tapping on it, like trying to get our attention, like trying to fuck with us. Yeah. And we're like, what the fuck? And I'll show you a picture of this guy. Like, he was terrifying.
Yeah.
And so he's like carrying around this backpack, and he's definitely on something. Like, he was out of it. So the cop shows up and is like, hey man, you need to leave. Like, kind of escorts him out of here. And then the cop's like, well, I can give you a ride back to your hotel. So, you know, it's like I got in the back of 2 cop cars in one day.
It was a different cop.
Different cop.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So then he drove us up, and then, you know, the next day I was like, I just went and bought some pepper spray because I wasn't carrying anything at that point, because it's like, you know, do I really need it? And then after that incident, it's like, pepper spray is right here, ready to go.
Yeah.
So it's just, you never know who you're going to run into. But sometimes I feel like being a female on trail, it's like, I feel like I'm in this like fishbowl. Like, people are just like constantly like, what do you do? Like, especially out on the CDT, right? It's like, people know what you're doing, but some of these towns you get into, it's like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. You know, and they're very curious. And so, New Mexico, I just felt like I was in this fishbowl, just people just constantly like, go away, leave me alone, let me hike. So I've definitely carried protection, you know, ever since then, whether it's a knife or pepper spray, or then once I got the bear spray, I'm like, come at me.
Garrett makes fun of me because I keep my bear spray next to my bed.
I do too.
Like on my bedside table.
I do too. I'm like, you know what? That's definitely gonna do something to someone.
Yeah.
I always say, I'm like, the bear spray is not for the bears.
Yeah. In addition to protection, do you have advice for female solo backpackers?
I mean, trust your gut. I mean, it's like, if you start to feel that feeling of like, I'm kind of uncomfortable, it's like, just get out of the situation. You know, I know sometimes, you know, every situation is different, but for me, it's like, having that pepper spray or my bear spray or a knife or something that it's like, at least I can defend myself. But 9 times out of 10, I'm like, your gut feeling. It's like, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Pegleg posted somewhat recently about a kind of similar encounter to what you're describing on the AT, but it was on trail. And she just got away from the situation as fast as possible. There's a lot more to the story.
Yeah.
I'll share the link if you guys want to read about it. But she got, I'm not exaggerating, probably 500 comments, and a good percentage of them are like calling her a man hater for like not trusting the guy. And it's like, every smart female backpacker that I know has the advice that you just gave is like, trust your instinct with stuff. And like, she posted about trusting her instinct, and there's just so many fucking idiots online. They're like, no, you should have trusted this guy. Like, you not being there, how do you feel even remotely entitled to say that?
I'd rather be wrong 10 times and like just like come off as standoffish to a person 10 times, or just like unfriendly 10 times and like it could have been fine, than have been right 9 times, or, you know, have been wrong 9 times and right one of them.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is you never know who you're going to run into. And it's like, for me, I feel like I'm always like so happy and smiling and want to trust everyone. And it's like, you know, you assume everyone's nice until that one person. It's like, nope, I shouldn't have done that.
It's a numbers game. Even if 99.99% of people are good, like, it's just a matter.
I did have one guy at a road crossing. I'll make this short, but he was basically, there was me and like 3 other hikers, and he was just rambling on about stuff, and it's like, none of us were even engaging in his conversation. Like, he was just out driving up and down this dirt road, and he made a comment, like, because we were all getting ready to hike off, he like gets in his truck and like starts to leave, and then gets out again. And he's like, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. And I was just like, I don't owe you anything.
Right.
And so it was just like, yeah, the way that sat with me, I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like that. And I had this gut feeling of like, I don't know, this guy's making me uncomfortable. Like I'm going to start hiking off. And then as soon as he made that comment, I was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you
That
never know
gut
who you're going to run
feeling
into.
is an evolutionary instinct. Like we've gotten far as a species trusting that instinct.
Yeah. Or it's like, yeah, people are like, where are you camping? I'm like, I don't know. When I get tired, I'm stopping.
Yeah.
Like I never really give away like where I'm camping or stopping for the night. Cause once again, you just don't know who you're going to run into.
Yeah.
So.
You mentioned that when you started the PCT, obviously your pack was way too heavy. Like what's like your biggest beginner blunder that
Overpacking. I mean, it's like you don't realize like you don't need much, and I think having all this extra clothes too, right? It's like you think you need, 2 pairs of shorts and 2 pairs of this. It's like you end up wearing the same clothes. So I think once you embrace that, okay, I'm going to stink and these clothes are going to be gross until the next town. But yeah, I think just sticking to the basics, you always end up packing more than you think. So, and everyone's luxury items and what they choose to bring is, what works for them. So, if I do get people that ask questions about like gear, it's like, hey, this is what works for me. At least this could be a starting point and I hope it works for you. But yeah.
What is your luxury item?
I don't know if I really have like a specific luxury item. I mean, I like to carry deodorant. I carry hair oil because my hair gets wild and crazy. I pack like a razor in between towns. It's like, because I want to get in town. I'm like, I want to feel like a normal human being. So I carry a few more extra like toiletry items, I would say. But for the most part, I'm pretty basic on just straightforward.
What's your hair oil of choice?
It's like Aussie. I don't remember. I think that's just the brand of it, but it smells really good.
Nice.
And it's super cheap and easy. And so I have this little like travel size, when you go into like a hotel, it's like the lotions so it's like I'll empty those out and then put my hair oil in it. So
I haven't considered that. I use hair oil at home.
yeah. And it weighs nothing.
No, it doesn't.
My hair is naturally super curly, and especially being out here in the humidity in Frizz, I'm like, I got to tame this somehow. So
Do you think that you could, like, let's say you didn't use the Aussie stuff, and I know it smells really good, but some people will pack those size things of olive oil for their cooking.
You
Do you think olive oil would oil your hair the same way?
Oh, yeah. You could definitely use that. I'm sure if you were in a pinch, anything would be
Multi-use there.
Multi-use. Olive oil.
And speaking of olive oil, now going towards food, you mentioned, I think before we started recording, that you're sick of trail food.
So sick of it.
So what are you eating? Like, what does your resupply look like? Are you just stomaching stuff you're sick of, or have you found a different way?
I'm just snacking a lot. Like, I'm not really doing like the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's just, I carried like 2 oatmeal packets for like 400 miles because I couldn't get myself to eat it. I was like, I can't eat this. Like, I'm done. So I've eaten oatmeal twice out here. I'm retired of that. I think I'm retired of ramen. Like, as much as it's like so easy and simple, but I think it's the noodles. Like, I'm becoming like the texture of like, I can't really stomach the ramen noodles anymore. So I'm just snacking a lot. So like in the mornings, I wake up and it's like, all right, first thing, get the coffee going. So I need a cup of coffee. And then I've been packing out like the mini donuts. So I'm like, I can do mini donuts or like the little Debbie's muffins. And then usually it's like most of the bars I'm done. Can't do the bars anymore. So I'm still doing like breakfast essentials. And lots of Rice Krispies. I've been on the Rice Krispie game. So
the bars, the cereal.
Yep, all of them.
Oh, everything Rice Krispie.
I'm like, all bars. I'm like, there's a few of like the Nutra Valley bars that I can stomach right now. But for the most part, Cliff bars, any of those, I'm like,
Yeah.
Can't do it. And then lunch is just like, sometimes I'll do like peanut butter and jelly in a tortilla that I can still stomach.
Do you want to come to our competition today?
Yeah.
No, I can't do creamy peanut butter. I'm a crunchy peanut butter.
Okay.
But, and then, just lots of candies. I can still stomach those because I know the calories. And then for dinner, There's a few of like the pasta sides, like the Nor pasta sides I can choke down still, but for the most part, I'm like, I just got to look forward to town. Just get into town, get the town food. And then, every little town I go into, I'm like, okay, what's a new snack I can try? So,
Yeah. Do you have a go-to town meal?
I mean, just, the normal burgers and pizzas. I am a milkshake kind of gal. Like, I get into town, I'm like, I need a milkshake. Where am I going? So,
Does the trail get close to any cookouts? Have you heard of cookout?
no.
It's the South's, or I think at least North Carolina's most popular fast food. I noticed like probably 7 billboards on our drive from Charlotte yesterday. We went there for dinner. The milkshake was amazing. It was definitely the best part of the entire thing. They have 40 different milkshake options. Yeah.
And it's called what?
Cookout. Yeah.
It's an actual like restaurant?
It's a fast food.
Fast food?
Joint.
Okay.
My milkshake legitimately was so thick that the straw was useless. I had to eat it with a spoon.
No.
Yeah.
What flavor did you get?
I ordered peanut butter Oreo, and then he goes, "You want M&M?" I don't know why he asked me that, but I feel like if he asked me, I have to say yes. So I got M&Ms in it as well.
Yum.
Yeah.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, Charles was the only one who didn't get a milkshake.
I didn't get one. I didn't want to shit my pants.
I know.
I did come home came here and Chris in the bathroom immediately.
Yes, I know, that's me. I'm like, gosh, it tastes so good going down, but later I'm like, oh man, my stomach hurts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like to think that I'm like preparing for this the half-gallon challenge ice
You
cream.
gonna do it?
Oh, are you gonna do it?
I don't know. I haven't decided, but I feel like me going into town, it's like, okay, gotta get a milkshake. This is my training for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
You mentioned going for a loose version of the 2-week challenge in Oregon on the PCT. The AT is kind of ripe with challenges. Have you done any of them?
I haven't.
No.
What's the one? Once again, this is me not planning. I know nothing. But what's the challenge where it's like, what, 40 miles, 4 states?
The 4-state
Four-state
challenge.
challenge.
Yeah.
Four-state challenge.
So Virginia to Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you'll go through, start in Virginia,
Get 8 miles to West Virginia.
Maryland.
Okay.
And then,
The only thing that stinks about that is that you're like rushing through Harper's Ferry.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And Harper's Ferry is a really cool little town.
Okay.
A lot of history, but like a lot of buildings that are just the way they were.
Yeah.
A lot of cobblestone streets.
Oh,
it's just
cool.
cute.
Yeah.
So that was why I didn't do it. Was that it was like
Yeah. Don't want to rush it.
I want to take a 0 in Harper's Ferry.
Yeah.
I know a guy who did it 2011 drink, who at like mile 38 injured himself so bad he had to get off trail. And
It's
ended his hike.
That's my fear. Is like
Yeah.
doing these, silly challenges. It's like I don't want to hurt myself and jeopardize like the whole through hike.
Right.
So, I mean, that was the only one that I'd like considered. I'm like, okay, that I could maybe do that, but yeah, I'm like, nah, I don't know. I'm just kind of enjoying every day out here. So,
I got a few requisite gear questions for you.
Yeah.
What is your pack weight at nowadays?
I think my base weight, I'm at like 12 pounds.
12 pounds.
Yeah.
What are you using for big 3?
So I use the Hyperlight Southwest. It's a like 40-liter pack. And then this year I'm rocking the Durston X-Dome 1 Plus tent, which I love.
That's the DCF?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because on the CDT I used like the Nemo Elite. It was like a semi-freestanding, but I've tried the trekking pole tents. I'm just not a fan. I mean, when I get to camp, usually I'm like so tired and exhausted. I'm like, the last thing I want to do is like fiddle with my tent. It's like, I want to be able to slap those poles together, like set it up, not have to worry about, okay, is the ground too hard? Is it too soft? I can't get a good pitch. I'm like, no, I would rather carry the extra weight in the poles. And then
Let me interrupt you real quickly.
Yeah.
At least according to your Instagram, are you working with Hyperlight Mountain Gear?
I do.
Yeah. I see they have a new semi-freestanding tent.
I know.
Have you tested it?
No, but
Okay.
I want it.
Yeah. All right. I was
So
curious.
I'm
if you had
looking
tested
forward
it.
to. I
Yeah.
think probably after trail I'll get it and
Got it.
it looks nice.
Okay.
And then I guess what's the big 3? It's usually what, tent,
sleeping bag.
Sleeping bag.
sleeping bag. Right now I have a 20-degree Thermarest sleeping bag, but I'm switching to my Enlightened Equipment quilt. So that just came in the mail today. So
Nice.
I'll switch over to that.
What about footwear?
Topo.
Yeah,
Team Topo.
nice. All right, they're our title sponsor
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. So I've been working with them for probably about 4 years now.
Which
Oh,
model are
really?
you in?
Huh?
What model?
I used the Ultra Venture.
Okay.
So I used, it was actually when I did the Tahoe Rim, I think in 21. I was wearing Ultras and I remember rolling in town. I was like, I am done with these shoes. I need some new ones. So I found, in the topos, I think it was just the Ultra Ventures. So I wore those. And then on the CDT, I did the 3s, the Ultra Venture 3s, and then they just came out with the 4s. So yeah, I've been a big fan.
How many miles are you getting out of yours?
I've been getting about 500.
Okay.
So the CDT, I was definitely about 5, maybe 600. I feel like out here, I'm already 300 in, and I'm already like noticing somewhere. So
Yeah.
just different terrain,
Sure.
right? But yeah, I've been, every person I come across, I'm like, hey, what shoes you got?
Yeah,
Switch
yeah.
to the topos.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're so amazing.
What were you using previously?
Like the PCT, I did ultras.
Yeah.
But that was like before they went and changed a bunch of stuff. I don't even remember. It was like the original Lone Peaks.
Yeah.
And then
Do you notice differences between them? Because largely for me, the feel is very similar.
see, I was rocking, you know, the 0 drops because I didn't really know any different. And then I have really high arches. So once I put on the topos, I was like, oh my gosh, there's just so much more cushion. I feel like they're so much more comfortable.
Yeah, I guess the ultras are 5 millimeters drop.
Are they?
Yeah.
The ultras are? Or topos?
The Ultra Venture is a 5 millimeter
Yes.
drop. Yeah.
Yeah. So I put those on and I'm like, yeah, these are my shoes. You just kind of know, right?
Yeah.
When you put them on. And so, yeah, but the Topo, the Ultra Venture 4s that I'm wearing, they have this really fun blue color. And I went to online to go order another pair and they don't have the color anymore. I'm like, so I might have to switch. I might get the Mountain Racers, I think is what I'm going to switch to. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have anything else that you'd like to relay to the listeners of Backpacker Radio?
I don't think so. Unless...
Okay. We do have one sponsor question for you. Speaking of
Yeah,
Topo Athletic,
of
this is the
course.
peak performance question presented by Topo Athletic. Use code TREKSPRING15 to get a 15% discount at topoathletic.com. What is your top performance enhancing or backpacking hack?
Ooh. Backpacking hack. I don't know. That's a hard question. You put me on the
You've been
spot.
doing this for 7 years now,
Yeah.
and like it seems like pretty injury free, unless
Yeah.
we're missing a story.
No, I mean, I feel like I've found, I guess, the right gear, right? It's, you know, I think once again, coming back to like shoes, it's like you have to find the right footwear, and like shoe and sock combo, I think is so important. Like I hardly ever get blisters. So I think once you figure out that, and then just, yeah, the right gear. I mean, for me, obviously I would like to go a little bit more ultralight, but there's like certain luxuries that I'm like, I can't get rid of these. So, yeah, I don't know. Just figuring out what gear works best for you, I think. And I think a lot of people don't maybe have like the proper fitting gear. So then that's where the injuries come into play. But biggest thing, yeah, take care of your feet, because your feet got to take you all the way.
You're here.
Very fitting for the Topo Athletic
Yes,
question.
there we
So,
go.
that made it easy. Yeah. Jamie, and definitely not strap on, thank you so much for joining us here in Backpacker Radio. Where should people go to keep up with you, follow your hikes, etc.?
Just my Instagram. So it's Jamie Lambert. So, yeah. Thanks
Cool.
for having me, guys.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, appreciate it.
This is disjointed, but we're going to do reminders. We're going to do reminders after the interview because I skipped that section. Reminders before we get to the Trek Propaganda is if you're listening to this and you want to help out the show in the fastest way possible, we have a listener survey. The link to that will be in the show notes, but I forget it's like 5 questions. It's the shortest survey of all time. It can be anonymous. You don't have to leave any trail of yours. And yeah, this goes a long way to ensuring we get the best advertising partners. So like I said, this is a very easy way to give back. Link in show notes. Next is if you want to support us financially, patreon.com/backpackerradio. Got all of our episodes advertisement free on that one. If you're annoyed of hearing ads, which you shouldn't be, we have great advertisers.
Great codes.
Call back. But yeah, also this is money that goes directly to us, and very appreciative you can get in the fund for as little as $5 per month. Our highest level is the Chuck Norris Award winner supporters. It's $25 per month to get your name right at the end of the show. That's how that works.
Technically, you're saving money because by signing up to be a patron for as little as $5 a month, you're not listening to our well-curated ads that definitely have backpacking stuff you'll want or other things you'll want with codes that are going to make it hard for you to avoid them. So It's like turning off your phone on Black Friday, right?
Yeah.
You're just muting those ads so that you don't get tempted to buy any gear that you don't need anymore, and you end up spending less.
Yeah. Saving money.
Yeah. So we will save you money. Become a patron.
That's right. Last but not least, if you're taking on a long distance trek this year, we'll be releasing the 2026 application here soon. But this year, shorter hike, southbound hike, etc. Not too late to apply to be a trek blogger. The link to that is in the show notes. Okay, to the trek propaganda. This is a news piece from Katie Jackson. Very familiar name here at the trek propaganda. The title of this one is 47 years later, the CDT still isn't complete. New legislation in Congress aims to change that. Despite being designated a National Scenic Trail in 1978, the Continental Divide Trail remains unfinished with about 160 miles still lacking official protection. New legislation in Congress, the CDT Completion Act, aims to close these gaps by enabling land acquisition and trail easements. The CDTC supports this bill, highlighting the potential to improve safety, ecological connectivity, and trail town economies. If you want the CDT to be completed, and you should, contact your representatives and voice your support for this effort. And we'll leave it at that for trek propaganda for now. No, I want to do this one too. For a couple of reasons. A new contributor, Kelsey Nanini. That's a fun one. But I'm doing this for a couple of reasons, like I said. This section of the PCT has been closed for 20 years. The reason? MYLFs.
I like that.
Shout out to Kelly for the excellent work on that title. If you read this one, it's not quite as happy as the title would suggest. She includes some data about adult populations of these MYLFs, which are, where's the acronym?
Wait, what is?
Mountain yellow-legged frogs.
Oh, I was thinking it was multi-year-long fires.
No, this is the frog closure on the PCT that has been closed for quite a number of years.
Yeah, it was closed in 2017.
But yeah, there's a chart in here that shows the adult populations, and it seems kind of all over the place. But in 2005, it was 6 number of adult MYLFs counted at a specific location, Little Rock Creek. It got as high as 151 in 2015, and then last year in 2024 was 1.
Oh.
So it's not good.
That's not good.
It's not good. But
I want more MYLFs on the trail.
Especially for closing the trail for it. But yeah, this article does an excellent job outlining why this section of trail gets closed and how sensitive they are and why this is an important thing. I just was hoping there was a happier ending for this one.
Yeah. Can a frog change back and forth and like get itself eggied? Like if there's just one.
I do wonder if this is just like the challenge of trying to sample populations, because the second highest year for their population was actually 2023. So in 2023, it went from 140 to 2024, it went to 1.
Does that have anything to do with like the LA fires?
I have no idea.
I have no idea the proximity.
After the Bobcat Fire burned 115,000 acres of the San Gabriel Mountains in 2020, MYLF tadpoles were rescued from various burn zones and transported to captive breeding programs. Many of these individuals were later reintroduced into the wild in 2023. You don't have to read the full article to get this one, but yeah, I just remember walking away being like, I was hoping for a happier ending on this one. But yeah, shout out to new contributor, writer Kelsey Nanini for this very thorough and well-researched piece. Question of the day. If you had to give a TED Talk on something you're not a real expert on, but could fake it, what topic would you choose?
This is hard. Because in the car, I was thinking about, like, what would I give a TED Talk on? And I don't think I'm an expert in anything. And I think I have really bad recall, which combined makes it terrible if I don't have a teleprompter. But in the state of being humorous, I think over the course of me and Garrett's relationship, I have learned enough about Star Wars where I could kill some time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could. How long is a TED Talk?
I think they're usually like 10 minutes or so.
Oh, I could talk about it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It wouldn't all be accurate.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're bullshitting, so I think that's kind of a big part of it.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a specific slant on your TED Talk?
I've heard a lot about Anakin and Padme, and basically how like Padme dies and she's got Luke and Leia. Spoilers if you haven't watched Star Wars or existed. And like the question is like, did she need to die? I guess. And the big thing that he was talking about, he being Garrett, we just saw Revenge of the Sith in theaters, was that I guess the evil guy, he like wants Anakin to go to the dark side, so he's planting these images in Anakin's mind that are making Anakin have these dreams thinking that Padme is going to die in childbirth and freaking out, and like he wants to save her, so he's pulling for more power, which the only way to do that is to go to the dark side. But really the bad guy, what's his freaking name, he took her mitochondrion, something like that, he took from her and gave them to Anakin that did something, and basically then it was inevitable that she was going to die because she didn't have these mitochondrions in her, chlorians in her. And so yeah, that's my TED Talk. And then Luke and Leia are born, and Anakin's his father.
You might as well have been speaking another language to me. I'm not a captive audience on that one.
I
But
can't believe I already forgot that bald dude's name. Oh, he's the one that's like, do it.
The Rock.
No, he's like old and gross. He's in the what's his freaking name?
DeVito.
No, bad guy, Star Wars. I was gonna say Darth Vader. Oh, here he is. This guy, what's his name? You don't watch this stuff.
No.
Come on, ranked from worst to best. I've got to scroll. Here he is. Palpatine.
Yeah.
Palpatine. That's his name.
Yeah.
So he is the one that's planting these images in Anakin's head. And so the part of it that's like tragic is that Padme never needed to die. Anakin was like brainwashed or something and like went down his own spiral, which then caused him to die.
Yeah.
Her to die.
Yeah.
I guess I got to rewatch it.
Okay.
That's my TED Talk. What's yours?
My TED Talk is I'm really leaning into the bullshit side of things, but I feel like talking about how we domesticated wolves and turned them into dogs.
Go.
I feel like this is the most kind of obvious story of all time.
TED Talk me.
I'll give you a minute. Is a wolf came close to the fire where we're eating food, and the wolf that came closest got the steak scraps, and then eventually it learned that behavior was rewarding and kept coming back night after night. And then the other wolves that saw the other wolf that was easily getting delicious food started to follow suit, and it became a learned behavior that if you associate with the people, you will be rewarded. So slowly but surely, these packs of wolves started to learn that humans were their friends, and it became a selection bias where the wolves that befriended the human beings would be the ones that would persist and not die of starvation. And as they became more familiar with humans, they became more domesticated and nice and interacted in a more safe manner, and go on from there. Talk about how you do selective breeding, artificial selection, and all of a sudden you've got like 10-pound white fluff Maltese dogs.
I think foxes are currently doing that. Like, aren't foxes in the process?
I mean, I know there's certainly a lot of foxes that just hang out in people's yards, because I saw a video recently of a guy that had a coyote in his house.
I saw that too. I wonder
And
if it's the same guy.
scared the other dog up the stairs.
No, this was him like petting its neck.
It might be the same person, because
Yeah.
I think he's got a lot of content.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just dog species in general are the best. Dogs are the best.
Yes.
And like that
No
is...
questions asked.
Yeah.
Did you see the talking about the guy with the coyote? Did you see the guy with all the raccoons on his porch? He feeds raccoons.
No.
Oh my God! Look up guy with lots of raccoons on his porch.
I have a friend, and in high school, his parents had pet raccoons, like in the house.
I promise this is worth it, and it's probably more than your friend had. My shoe's stuck to my foot.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, it's him.
Okay, Captain. Okay, I'm gonna smokes. Oh my God. Yeah.
too bad they're kind of gross animals because they're really cute.
Kidding?
They're really cute. Aren't they riddled with diseases and shit?
Yeah, only rabies.
Yeah.
And like maybe other things. But they are sure cute. This is a video of him feeding like, how many do you think there are? 30?
Yeah, ballpark, sure.
30 raccoons from a bucket. He does this every night.
Listen, once you get to be that age, and
You can do whatever the fuck you
that's
want.
probably the coolest way to spend time, just fucking chilling with a bunch of raccoons. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
triple crown of words you'll never pronounce correctly.
Yeah, easy starter for me, Moab.
There you go.
It's never gonna happen.
I would have guessed that one for you. I'm gonna go with the majority of our guests' names. I've gotten a
yeah.
lot of them wrong. We've been on a hot streak of late of having some very straightforward names, so shout out to you guys for making that easy to me. But anytime it gets even a little bit tricky, you can rest assured I'm gonna fuck it up.
Yeah.
Wait, I get to.
I was just gonna agree.
Oh.
I agree.
Okay, good. This one, I will still say it incorrectly. This has been my Achilles heel for words. Heel is also my Achilles heel. Forever. Desensitization.
Desensitization?
Yeah. That's the one.
Desensitization.
Desensitization.
There's no th.
Listen.
Desensitization.
Desensitization.
There's no th. Desensitization.
Desensitization.
There you go.
I don't like it. So yeah, that word has always fucked me up
Yeah.
quite significantly.
Yeah. This one I'm going to say right, and that's just because I've been reading it over and over and over, but the first time I read it just now, again, I said it wrong. And I think I can say this one well when I'm just saying it, but reading it, I read it differently, and then if I were to read and say it out loud, it'd be different, and that is anemone. Anemone. Anemone.
Like a sea anemone? Sea anemone?
Anemone.
Anemone?
Anemone.
Is that what the word you're...
Anemone. 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 It's a plant of the buttercup family, typically bearing bright-colored flowers, or short for sea anemone. Same thing. It's a sea thing and also a flower. But there's no NM. It's anemone, and I always say anemone.
Anemone.
I switched the M and the second N.
Okay.
But it's anemone. Anemone.
Okay.
Okay. I guess I wasn't as good at saying it as I thought I would be on the moment.
Yeah.
Worcestershire.
I know it's a common one.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
I know the right way to say it is to say it not looking at the letters. Because if you look at it, it says Worcester.
Yeah, you just got to feel it.
Worcestershire. And that's that.
Yeah. My last one. This one I can say if I think about it, but if I'm using it like in a sentence and I say it quickly, it trips me up often. Colloquialism.
How often do you say colloquialism in a sentence?
Not often. Mostly to avoid it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's
Colloquialism.
what's the one I hate? Let me think for a second. It is I don't remember it. There's one where people say, there was this ad where she would say it wrong every time. There's one that someone else says wrong that really makes me mad, and I don't remember what it is. It's like an asterisk or something where like they just pronounce it wrong, but I don't remember what it is now. That was a bad story for me. Next.
Okay. Next is mailbag.
Mailbag, part 1. Guys, I finally have an actual reason to write in. I can tell you unequivocally when it stops smelling like food and starts smelling like poop. I'm a veterinarian and have performed many surgeries on various points along the GI tract in dogs and cats.
Did we do this one?
I think we did. Or we just read it to ourselves.
I think we did it. I'm almost certain we did this
I'm
one.
almost certain we did it too. Should we do it again?
Unless this is another person weighing in. No, it was a veterinarian.
Is this my cat's vet? No, it's Rick from Iowa. feel like Rachel's usually not wrong.
Yeah, read it.
Okay. The main driving factor is bacteria. The turning point is between the stomach and the small intestine. The main driving factor is bacteria. The extreme acidity of the stomach keeps it pretty sterile, whereas the small intestine has a lot of bacteria present. This is where the odor comes from. Lots of gases put off by bacteria breaking down food. And I can tell you the smell is horrendous. Technically, this isn't really poop, as it's still being digested and nutrients absorbed. Poop is formed by the large intestine, where water is absorbed out of the waste that can't be digested. Sorry for nerding out, but I was yelling at my radio as I listened. Anyway, love the podcast. I live vicariously through you and all the great guests. I'm just a day hiker and one-time backpacker. Isle Royale, anyone? You keep me company on many trips around the countryside from farm to farm. Just dreaming of a bucket list trip on the AT or PCT someday. Keep up the awesome work. Rick from Iowa. Part 2. LOL, I just realized I dove right into my last email with zero context. I meant to start it off by saying I'm catching up on my backlog of podcasts and just finished the episode with Sarah Berkeley and Symbiosis Gear when I heard the question of the day about when does it smell like poop? And I have an answer, as I alluded to in my overly enthusiastic previous email. Anyway, thanks again for all you do. I've been a sandwich listener since I found you guys a couple years ago. I listened to all the new stuff, but also went back to the beginning and have been slowly chipping away at old shows. It's kind of fun to see how the show evolves as I move through the old stuff. Sunny clips at the end of the show, the Triple Crown of, the Patreon list, etc. Take care, Rick in Iowa.
Shout out to Polly for always pulling out the golden Sunny clips.
Yep.
He knows how to rock it. Okay. And thank you to Rick in Iowa.
Yep.
We love our people in the Midwest.
And now for your very, very long 5-star review.
Yeah, this is from McPasty. Great podcast. Love the laid-back, honest conversations. The crew works well together. Well, McPasty, we love you. If you guys want to hear your 5-star review read on this podcast, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us any number of stars.
There's not 1, 2, 3, or 4.
And send us a screenshot at podcast@thetrek.co, and we will mail you a sticker. It's been a minute since I've sent a sticker, so you guys, we're actually sending them now.
Yeah.
They're
And
not just empty threats.
Zach's fingers will have touched them as he puts it into an envelope and licks it sealed. So if you want some Zach DNA,
2 true ginger
now's
skin
your
flakes.
chance to get it.
That's right. Worth the big bucks on the open market.
Yeah.
Thank you to today's title sponsor. That is Topo Athletic. I need to look up the newest pair of shoes that they sent me because
The ones on your feet that are really clean.
yeah, I took these on a run yesterday, and I feel like there's always, like I say, like there's no breaking in of shoes for a lot of pairs of shoes, but like truly this was, I put them on and they were like 10 out of 10 comfortable the first time I put them on my feet. And they went for a 4 mile. I mean, 4 miles is not that long, but on pavement, it just, my feet felt awesome.
While you look that up, I met, I think it was Haley, their marketing girl, at Trail Days, and that was really fun. They said one of them had no idea they even advertised on Backpacker Radio at, like, one of the guys was at Trail Days, and people kept coming up to them and telling them they heard us. They heard about Topos on Backpacker Radio, and that's why they got them. And that was really fun when she said that to me. I was like, ooh, yay. But she was also super helpful and informative. And I tried on all the different like trail hiking type models as she told me all about them. So it was fun stepping in and out of all the different shoes. All felt great.
I'm wearing these Cyclone 3s, which for the purpose of backpacking, don't consider them. But if you're a road runner, highly recommended. These are fucking awesome. And they look very white, at least for a little bit. But yeah, more trail related. I've now used the Ultra Venture and the Pursuits. I love them both. I'm going to have to hold my review as to which one I prefer on trail, but can say with great confidence I love them both. Chauncey and I both use the Pursuits on the Northville Placid Trail. You've heard every guest of ours fucking rave about them. They're awesome shoes. Durability is unmatched for this style of trail runner. And style, I mean being very comfortable. So be sure to use our code TREKSPRING15 for 15% off your pair of trail runners at topoathletic.com. Do you have anything you want to add?
I just added a whole bunch about the Trail Days, and I tried them all on, and they were really comfy, and I'm still wearing my Pursuit 2s. I haven't tried a different model yet, just because mine still work, so I don't need to hoard. But yeah, they're great. I wore them to Trail Days. And,
Are you accusing me of hoarding?
I mean, maybe. But you also, like, have been running. I guess maybe I'll get into running. Fine, tell them I want a pair of running shoes. I really like the all white ones.
That's what's holding you back from running is you don't have enough
Yeah,
shoes.
that's it. If I had the shoes you have on, I'd be gone. You
Yeah.
wouldn't even see me. I'd be so far gone.
You'd be Jonathan Taylor Thomas. We had Jonathan Thomas on recently.
Yeah, but Jonathan Taylor Thomas, wasn't he the guy in like Tom and Huck? What else was he in? He was like a teenage heartthrob, right?
Home Improvement.
Am I thinking of the right
Lion
guy?
King. Yeah, no, that's the guy.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas. This is like the guy that I had a
JTT.
crush on like way back in the
Yeah,
day.
but
Why would I be him?
it was a callback to Jonathan Thomas
But why would I be running and him?
because he was a collegiate runner.
Was he? I just knew.
Josh, we interviewed him like 10 days
No,
ago.
I'm talking about this guy.
Oh, no,
this cutie
I'm
pie.
talking about Jonathan Thomas.
No, you said Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
I know. I was joking about that part.
Okay. Is that what he looks like
I'll
today?
put on a light when I'm making a joke from now on.
Is that him? I thought
mean,
he was dead.
No.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas?
Home
is it?
Improvement wasn't that long ago. That was like early 90s, I want to say. Let's see.
Well, I know him from Tom and Huck. This one. I watch this all the time.
1991.
Have that VHS.
Mm. Yeah. Not dead. He ended up a different thing.
The more you know.
Thank you to our Chuck Norris Award winners on Patreon. That is Alex and Misty with Navigators Crafting, Alex Kindle, Andrew, Austin McDaniel, Brad and Blair from 13 Adventures, Brent Stenberg, Brian Alsop,
Tables.
Carl Hood, Christopher Marshburn, Coach for Marion Outdoors, Eric Casper,
They're friendly ghosts.
Eric Hoffman, Ethan Harwell, Dunn, Julian Daniels, Greg Knight, Greg Martin, Greg McDaniel, Griffin Hey, would you bring me a beer? Haley Buckingham,
Dallas.
Laura F,
You.
Patrick C. Cialo, Rebecca Brave, Sawyer Products, Spam, Timothy Hahn,
Solo.
and Tracy Trigger.
Fans.
Thanks to Paulie, our man, the OG, the originator of the air guitar competition. Very funny idea. We love Paulie. Head on over to Old Man Murph's Coffee at ommcr.com to get you some delicious beans. You can follow us on social at Backpacker Radio on Instagram and TikTok at BackpackerPod on X, Facebook.com/BackpackerRadio. You can follow Josh.
You can find me on YouTube at Juliana Chauncey, on Instagram at Juliana_Chauncey, and you can get my book, Hiking from Home, a long-distance hiking guide for family and friends, on Amazon.
Appalachian Trials and Pacific Crest Trials are my books. Subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on YouTube. Sup,
Internet.
YouTube.
Sorry, I was drinking Gatorade.
And that's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening, and happy hiking.
Bye.